Welcome to Hustle and Flow with Heather Hubbard, episode number 23. Hi, I'm Heather Hubbard, and I was a litigator, partner, and practice group leader at an AmLaw 200 firm. I know what it takes to rise to the top. I also know all too well the toll it can take on your personal life. So how do you shine bright without burning out? How do you embrace your ambition without selling your soul? You're listening to the Hustle and Flow podcast. Welcome back. I am your host, Heather Hubbard. Thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're going to talk about being a workaholic. And maybe you don't suffer from this, but I do. My hand is raised. And in many ways, I often feel like a fraud that I'm talking about hustle and flow, or that I'm teaching about meditation or mindfulness, because guys, this does not come easy to me. It is not my natural state. But I know how important it is to my peace and my sanity. And part of why I teach it is partly because, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, but you teach what you need to learn. So I need the constant reminder. But also, I feel like I'm in a unique position in that because it's so difficult for me, I feel like sometimes I can help others where it's really difficult for them as well. We kind of speak the same language, and I've got some tools and tricks that might work for you where a really zenned out person, where that's just their natural state, it may not relate. So again, sometimes I feel like a bit of a fraud, and I really felt that this week. And I thought, I should just get on here and make a confession because it's hard. It's really, really hard work. And when you're trying to be in that place, and for me, where I'm publicly sharing this information about how to be mindful and to be in the flow, when I trip up, I think it's important for you guys to know that so that you know you're not alone and there's no perfect way to do this. So here's kind of how this happened. My business is growing, and that's great, right? But that means I've got more to do. And I know you guys all can relate to that because, whether you're a solo attorney or you're in a large law firm or you're in a legal department, the more you get to do, it's better for your career. But it means there's more to do on your plate and you feel more pressure. So that's where I am right now. I'm growing, and that's great, but I'm starting to experience those growing pains of having more to do than I can handle in a day, even when I'm focusing on priorities, right? So in episode 3, I talked about how to take back your day. I go through the priority matrix and talk about how you're probably doing a lot of firefighting and losing a lot of time. And I always say, if you're overwhelmed, you should go to that first because you generally can get more time that way. But sometimes you have so much to do, so many priorities to do that truly are within the priority matrix to focus on, but you have so much that there's just not enough time in the day. So again, go to episode 3, do the priority matrix first. But once you've worked through that and you're truly just working on your priorities, but there's still more priorities than time in the day, then it's an outsourcing issue. And I am trying to outsource. I have some amazing people helping me. I need more amazing people to help me. And I'm just in this state of overwhelm. So, all right, going back to last week, I have more to do than I can. And this is a Thursday. And my plane leaves for San Diego at 2 p.m. So I don't like to spend a lot of extra time at the airport. So I think I was leaving my house at 12:30. And I got a text message from Southwest that said my plane had been delayed. And my first reaction was like, ugh. And then I was like, oh, wait, extra time. Awesome. So I look at the delay. I try to figure out where the plane is, make sure that they're not going to make up that time in the air. And I'm like, okay, got it. I've got extra time. I'm going to record a webinar. Like, this is literally how busy I am. I'm like, okay, I need to get this webinar out. I'm already behind. I'm going to record it right now. No time to prepare. I mean, the slides were ready. Everything was ready. But it was just like, you got to do it now because you've got this beautiful chunk of window where you can get it done, but there's no messing around. So I jump on the webinar. And in this webinar, I am talking about how to get more time in the day. I'm talking about the priority matrix. I'm talking about how to reduce your overwhelm and get support. And I know all this stuff, right? But I'm living it. I'm literally experiencing everything I'm talking about. And in that discussion, I shared that when I was practicing full-time as a partner in my law firm, when I got super, super stressed out, I would get an eye twitch. And when I got that eye twitch, it was a sign that I had overextended myself. And I talk about this concept of paying attention to your body so that you never get to the eye twitch. And that might be different for you, whatever it is, but you pay attention so that you never get to that one thing that means you've already gone too far. Okay, so this was Thursday. I get my webinar done, I get it out, I'm uploading it, and then I head off to the airport and I'm like, oh, high five, look at you go, right? Like I'm so excited. I got an extra thing done that I didn't think I could. And I go to San Diego. I was there for a mastermind, get back, and on, was it Monday or Tuesday? I'm not sure. But I'm working like crazy. And that afternoon, the eye twitch came back. The eye twitch came back. I have not had that eye twitch since I was practicing full-time at a law firm, like 3 years ago. I've not had that eye twitch in 3 years. And part of what I teach is avoid the eye twitch. Don't ever let it get to the point where the eye twitch is telling you you've overextended yourself. And yet, that's what I did. I literally recorded a webinar on Thursday that said, don't let yourself get to this point. And by Tuesday, I think that's when it was, by Tuesday, I had the stinking eye twitch. And I really want to cuss on here, but we're keeping it PG. Well, G really. Oh my gosh. I was so frustrated and mad at myself, which of course doesn't really help anything and goes against the mindfulness piece of being non-judgmental about what's going on with your body and, you know, your mind and your stress. But it was a wake-up call for me. And so I literally sat down and thought, okay, what's going on? Like, what is going on? Why do you have this eye twitch? And so I just started doing a little bit of journaling. And for those of you that don't like to journal, you can also just, pick up a legal pad and take notes, call it that, reframe it. So I sit down and I start journaling what's going on and what were the warning signs that I overlooked. And when I really sat down and was going to be honest about it, there were a lot of warning signs that I noticed, but I didn't want to acknowledge, so I buried my head in the sand. So here's what that looks like for me. One is I have so much to do that something has to give, right? And in my mind, the something that needed to give was my self-care. Now, guys, I teach you not to do that, but I'm not perfect. I'm human. And it happens. It happens. So even when you know this stuff, even when you are building up good habits, it doesn't mean that when push comes to shove that you don't fall back into old routines. So I had worked so hard to build up this daily meditation practice where every morning I would spend some time either meditating or reading, some kind of spiritual text that had meaning to me or journaling. And since about March, I've stopped doing that every day. And I noticed, if I'm trying to look back, I think what I've noticed is I was starting to miss a day here and there, and then I would miss even more. And I've not had my morning meditation practice in probably about 4 to 6 weeks. And that then makes me have a lot of shame and guilt because in my episodes, I'm sharing with you in mindfulness and meditation what that daily practice should look like. And it's coming from a genuine place because I do know how impactful it is and it totally changed my life. And yet I've fallen off the wagon. I'm not doing it myself, and that's not okay. It's not okay. It's what has led to the eye twitch. And I'm going to work through this. And hopefully as I work through it, I'll find out some things that I can share with you all. But when you're growing and you have all of those priorities to do, and there literally is not, things that you can mark out because you're not firefighting, you're not, wasting time. You can't expand time. You have to outsource. And I'm working on that. Again, I'm hiring. I know you're hiring. I know you don't, especially if you're in a large firm or you're in-house, you can't just say, this is what I need, right? There's red tape, there's bureaucracy. And so getting the support you need, that's a whole other story. And so then when something has to give, I don't know if you're like me, but we tend to let ourselves and our self-care go. And that is not a solution, because where I'm headed, and I know this because my eye twitch is back, where I'm headed is to some type of mental or health crisis. And if, again, I'm being honest with myself, and this was part of my journaling, I'm probably drinking a little bit more wine than I should be at night. And I'm not sleeping through the night. I wake up around 12 or 1 a.m. and I'm up for an hour or two just thinking about something related to the business or something that needs to get done. Those are major warning signs. And what that means is we actually need to ratchet up our self-care, even though our inclination is to let that go because we're so overwhelmed. So I have a friend that just had a baby, and we had talked last week about me coming over and seeing her and the baby yesterday. And I woke up and I was just like, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't know that I have time to do this. But I thought, I need to do this. Not for her, but for me. And so what I did was I just kind of worked on the timing of it. I was like, I need to get a few things out, but can we push this off by 2 hours, and I'll commit to be there by this afternoon and we'll go for a walk. And so I went and did that for an hour and a half. And the entire time, right, these are confessions, the entire time I'm trying my best to be present with her. And yet in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. And my body is, right, it's tense. And all that means is I've let this get too far, because that's the old response. That's the 3 years ago response. And so if I don't get back into a daily meditation and mindfulness practice, I'm not going to be able to show up for my friends and my family or myself and be present, because you can't just turn it off. You have to have that daily practice. And so part of why I'm showing up and confessing this to you today is so that hopefully you'll hold me accountable, right? Like sometimes when you say things out loud, as Brene Brown says, one thing that happens is, you let go of the secrecy and the shame and the guilt related to whatever you've done or not done. But also it allows you to say, okay, I'm putting this out there for the world to help hold me accountable so that I can right this ship. So I'm committing that I have to get back into that daily routine. And what that means is this is going to be really hard at first, because I've gotten out of the habit. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that as well, because I was talking to a client this week about habits and how that works. And I was talking about it with my mastermind that I was coaching. With habits, there's neuroscience behind it. We've talked about this before. We have these neural pathways, and they're basically shortcuts for our brain, but they're not always healthy. So all of our habits, and by the way, you have habits already, they're already wired in your brain. So when you're trying to create a new habit, you've got two things going on. One, you're trying to create a new neural pathway to create a new habit, and you're trying to, reduce or get rid of another neural pathway to get rid of that old habit. Because anytime you're doing a new one, it's not out of the blue. You're trying to replace a bad one. So, I had that neural pathway going where this is what we do every day. And then when I allowed it to get to the point where I wasn't doing it anymore, I've basically reignited that old one. So I have to start over. I can't say just because I had a great practice for 3 years that this is going to be easy. No, it's going back to day one. It's starting over. And that can sound or seem so difficult, and it just feels like, well, why even try, right? Like it's going to be so hard. Like I feel defeated. Like why even start? Why even try to do it again? Well, I'm going to do it again because I know that that is what is going to bring me back my peace. It is going to bring me back my perspective. It is going to bring me back my health. And so I'm committed to doing it. And what that means is there's a little bit of research out there that says 20 days is sufficient for developing habits. It's not for me. And I think you got to figure out what works for you. But I need generally at least 30 days. If I can do something every single day for 30 days, then it has become a habit. Now you got to keep doing it, right? Like this is the same concept of, I just stopped after a few years, but you have to keep doing it. But generally once, at least for me, once I've done it for 30 days, it's then becoming a strong habit where I don't have to I don't feel like I'm pushing so hard. Some people need more than that. I know others, and there's research that shows that 40 days is optimal. Again, you just got to figure out what really works for you. But if you miss a day, you have to start over. If we think, oh, well, I've been doing pretty good, I'll get back into it. That's a lie. You really have to start back at day one. So what I'm going to be doing, and if you want to do it with me, if you've been thinking about starting some kind of mindfulness or meditation practice, or maybe you've got one, but you don't do it regularly, join me. Let's do this together. For 30 days, I'm going to commit to doing it every single day. But because I'm starting over, I can't start with 30 minutes. I know that's what I had built myself up to, but we're back to day one. So I'm actually going to start with 10 minutes. And if 10 minutes is really, really difficult, I'm going to probably push it back to 5 because momentum is important and having easy wins is important. So you can do what's good for you, but I'm going to do 10 minutes and I'm slowly going to build that up so that by the very last week of those 30 days, I'm doing 30 minutes again. And so I'm going to post about it. I'm going to post about it on social media. And I'm going to check in with you guys. I'm going to be honest. When I'm doing great, I'll let you know. And when I'm struggling, I'll let you know that too. So if you've ever thought this is something I really want to do, join me. Literally, we can do this together for 30 days. And if you don't follow me on social media, I'm going to do this both I'm thinking of this as I'm talking. I'm thinking I'll post every day on my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/Heather Joy Hubbard. And my Instagram page, which is instagram.com/Heather Joy Hubbard. And yeah, come join me. We can do this. And I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing in case you just want to follow what I'm doing too. But this stuff is important. And I just wanted to be honest with you and let you know that I'm struggling. I'm backsliding. It happens. This is a continual process. You don't ever just get it. And one of the other things I wanted to mention that may have added to this, was it April? Yeah, April. I decided to get really serious about my nutrition. So, I always tell people, even if you think you should be doing something, don't do it unless you're willing to give it 100% focus. Because otherwise, it's just going to be in the back of your mind nagging you. And you're just going to think I suck at this, I'm no good. And you just beat yourself up. And that's not productive or beneficial. So I have known for a while now, and I've been telling, my clients, I've been saying it at CLEs and presentations, that part of my vision for my future is that I eat healthy and I exercise every day. But I don't eat healthy and I don't exercise. So I know that if I ever want to have the vision that I have for myself, I have to start making those changes now. That's how you get to your vision, is you start making tweaks that are aligned with your future vision. You don't just wake up one day and say, oh, now I've got the perfect job and everything is going to fall in place. That's not how that works. So I kept saying, I know at some point, if I truly want to step into the vision that I have for myself, I have to start exercising and working on my nutrition. But I know I'm not motivated. And I know that that's not my focus. So for now, I'm letting it go. Well, in April, for a few different reasons, I decided I'm ready. I'm ready to commit. And part of it was I was going to Hawaii and I wanted to look better in a bathing suit, totally vain. And then another reason was I was in a mastermind with a very successful Beachbody coach. And so I had access to her and she was willing to help me out. So not only did I focus on my nutrition, it's crazy. I'll just put it out there. It is a crazy diet. But I told her, I said, for 30 days, I will do whatever you tell me to do. And it was a really hard 30 days. I was one angry woman. But so my diet, my nutrition it has vastly changed. And that started in April, and I've continued to follow it. So April, May, and June, I have been developing this new habit, and it meant major, major changes in my diet. And so that's something I noticed in myself. When I did something drastic and did something new, it was much harder for me to keep the other self-care habit in place. That is the timing of it. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to happen for you, but my point is you want to try to dissect your behavior. And it's often hard to see unless you sit down and start trying to figure out how to connect those dots. So for me, my meditation and mindfulness practice, I started letting go of that here and there when I started changing my nutrition. It was as if I can only force myself to do one thing at a time. And I thought that my meditation and mindfulness practice was so ingrained that I would just keep doing it no problem. But turns out it was something I was still really having to work at, and adding on something else to really work at was not a good combo, especially when I'm in a time where I'm super overwhelmed. So even though the nutrition makes me feel much better, like I've enjoyed losing weight, I've enjoyed feeling better, but that's still work. At least it is for me. There are some people out there that love exercise and love eating healthy, and that's not me. It's work. And it is for meditation and mindfulness too. It feels good afterwards, but it's still work. I don't wake up and say, oh, I can't wait to do my meditation. That's not me. Like, I know there's people out there that feel that way, and I so wish that that was me. But it's not. It's work. It's work. And it doesn't mean it's not important. It doesn't mean I shouldn't be doing it. It doesn't mean it's not going to make me feel better in the end, but it's work. And so if you're trying to change a lot of things in your life, just recognize that you may only be able to do one thing at a time. And even when you then think you've got that one thing down, it might be hard to introduce something else. So I think it's important that we all just give ourselves a little bit of grace as we're trying to do this personal development stuff and improve our health mentally, emotionally, physically. It's hard work. And I don't know about you, but I prefer to be around people that are willing to support me. And when I fall off the wagon, that they don't say, I don't want people to say, oh, it's okay, don't worry about it. It's not okay. I do need to be worrying about it. But I also don't want people that like give me a really, really hard time about it and say, you should have done better. How dare you teach this stuff if you can't do it right all the time? I mean, I want to be surrounded by people that are like, oh, that happens. That's too bad. But you know what? You're human. You're not perfect. You've totally got this. Let's give it another go. Let's try it together. So if you feel the same way, if you like people that are going to support you, but also push you, do this with me. Come join me on my Facebook or my Instagram and let me know how it's going for you too. And if you don't want to do the meditation or mindfulness, but there's something else that you've really been wanting to do, maybe it is exercise or nutrition or some other type of self-care. That's fine too. I just want us to support each other and help each other and not make excuses and say, hey, it doesn't matter, but not be so harsh and judgmental that, we don't really want to even check in because we're worried about what the other person is going to say. So anyway, look, I'm a workaholic. I probably always will be. I love to work. I tell people I have no desire to ever retire because that sounds terrible in my mind. I love building things. I love creating things. I love business. I love business. I mean, when I was a little kid, I used to map out businesses that I was going to start. I genuinely love it. And, when I was in San Diego for the mastermind, my coach, he asked me, he was like, what do you do for hobbies? I'm like, what? I work. I read business books. What are you talking about? He was like, hey, I get it. I'm the same way, but we've got to do better. We've got to have hobbies. We've got to have a life outside of work. And he's right. We got to balance that. I actually told someone, I'm trying to think, I was having dinner with someone and I was like, I actually get bored on the weekends. And they were like, what? I was like, yeah. Because when I try to stop working, I get bored with the hobbies. I get bored with like the other stuff. And what that means is I just get a high from working, which is why it's called Workaholic. It's an addiction. And so I just have a feeling that some of you out there might be the same way. And if you are, that's my confession. I'm a workaholic too, but that doesn't make it okay. And I'm trying to do better. So I'm going to work on some hobbies. If you guys have some good ones, let me know, because nothing really excites me like work. And I'm going to do 30 days. I commit to 30 days of getting back into my morning meditation and mindfulness practice. Come join me on social media. Let's do this together. I could really use your support. And if you could use some too, I want to give it to you. So that's it for today. Those are my confessions. And I thank you for joining me. And I look forward to talking about something a little more upbeat and positive next week. All right. Have a great week, guys. Bye. Are you feeling stuck or frustrated in your career? Are you exhausted from trying to balance so many competing demands? Do you have big dreams and goals, but no time to focus on them? Then join me in a small group of female attorneys for the Life and Law in Balance retreats at Miraval. They're coming up in September. To learn more and register, go to lifeandlawinbalance.com. I'd love to meet you there.